Our lead item tonight comes from Tom Daniels of Minneapolis, who called in to report that since Dr. Christian Barnard also uses the drug butylzotaldine, the same drug given to Dancer's Image, Dr. Barnard's name will now be stricken from the record books as the first heart transplant surgeon. He will be replaced by Dr. Norman Shumway, who finished second.
Thus, we open another Saturday night edition of the Bedtime News, presented by the Sealy Mattress Company. This is Russ Johnson speaking.
It would appear now that Paris in the spring will be restored to some semblance of peace and propriety. This evening, Premier Georges Pompidou announced that the Sorbonne on the left bank and the Liberal Arts College of the University of Paris will be opened or reopened on Monday, after a week of wild rioting that left scenes like this, and left some 1,500 persons injured, hundreds of others arrested, and for a time threatened to bring down the roof on the beginning of the Paris peace talks on Monday. Premier Pompidou said there will be more efforts to renovate the Sorbonne, but suspicious students said they're still planning a massive all-day strike for Monday, as are several labor unions. Just 3 miles from the rioting at the old Majestic Hotel, the conference table's all cleared now. Both sides have agreed on the preliminaries. All the little nitpicking has been squared away, and the first-line negotiators will move into their chairs early Monday morning. All the while, the Viet Cong continue to blast away at Saigon, harder than ever now with rockets and mortar rounds. They've added some new targets like Hue, the Da Nang Air Base, and a government military outpost near the Mekong Delta, all of which apparently is a show of strength, telling the U.S. negotiators don't mess around with this at the conference table. The face of life of one of those 15 miners pulled out of their cave after 6 days in Hominy Falls, West Virginia. A physician on the scene said that some of the rescued were in better physical condition than some of the rescuers. The first marchers in the Poor People's Campaign reached the outskirts of Washington, D.C. today. Buses carrying about 450 demonstrators will roll in tomorrow, and that number will swell to better than 3,000 during the week. And this is good news. In Houston, John Stuckwish, 62 years old, world's oldest surviving heart transplant patient, is reported much improved. Everett Thomas in Houston, Frederick West in London, also doing well.
Hi there, I'm Hank McKnight. And I'm Frank O'Day. The difference between us is the difference between night and day. But on one thing we do agree. Sleeping on a Sealy is like sleeping on a cloud. Yes, sleeping on a Sealy is like sleeping on a cloud. The Sealy Posturepedic mattress is made to make all your mornings beautiful. It awakens you more thoroughly rested, refreshed, and tension-free than any other mattress. One of the reasons why the Sealy Posturepedic is the best mattress is the Duralife coil. It never relaxes its support, regardless of your weight. Even if you're a real fatty, you'll never find a coil like this in a Sealy Posturepedic. Of course, you shouldn't be too fat. Sealy's Posturepedic is the world's largest selling mattress of its kind. If you're too fat, you ought to see a doctor or diet. See a doctor, he'll tell you what to do. Remember, when you're shopping for a mattress, ask to see the Sealy Posturepedic. And get rid of some of that fat, you look awful. You shouldn't hit that thing so hard, Hank.
Thank you, gentlemen. 2 labor strikes were settled in the Twin Cities today. The Carpenters Union out for a week won increased health and welfare benefits. St. Paul Auto Mechanics settled for higher wage and fringe benefits with the City Auto Dealers Association. They'll go back to work after 26 days of hanging around the house. But mechanics in Minneapolis, Mankato, and St. Cloud are still picketing. All the while, President Johnson was asking industrial leaders at a meeting in Hot Springs, Virginia, to hold down price increases and wage settlements.
Mother's Day, 1968, a tribute to all you mothers.
Yes, sir. Mother's Day has come a long way since it was established 63 years ago by the Hallmark Greeting Card Company. And though the company continued to exercise its creative holdings, in 1928 it moved its Mother's Day franchise to Atlanta, where ever since Mother's Day has been operated by an Eastern syndicate. And so as a tribute to Mother's Day 1968, Bill Carlson will have as his guests at the place tonight Terry Dale and Shane Nee, the obstructive young baseball fans currently appearing at Augie's, the girls next door that you just love to take home to Mother. Nancy Nelson's weather report follows this newscast, and Bill Carlson at This Must Be the Place, and lest anyone be offended by our little joking.
Some guy out there in his underwear said to give you this.
Oh, for heaven's sake, do I have to open it now?
Yeah.
Is it a person? Do I read the card?
Yeah.
Just a short word regarding your latest accomplishment. You've been making your mile each day, but forgetting your oranges. Happy Mother's Day, Max Burke Sr. Max Burke, is he in the studio? Max Burke is a man who runs about 75 miles every day, jogs about 75 miles every day at the YMCA, 17 miles every day. And on the weekends, Saturday and Sundays, Max, who I would assume to be over 50 years of age, jogs around the neighborhood, 17 miles. And I think you probably read about this man in the newspaper the other day. What is this, Butch? And Max is I think he's a fruit importer or a fruit producer of some kind. He's a very fruity fellow with the oranges. And he brings a bag of oranges over to the YMCA every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning when the girls, I can't lift that thing like that. Well, it's a box of sun-kissed oranges marketed by the Sun-Kissed Growers Incorporated. Max brings a bag of oranges over there every day and throws them to the girls to keep their, their vitamin C up. And then he brings oranges for all of us fellows who are jogging. Thanks a lot, Max. That was very thoughtful of you. And lest you have been offended by our little joking about Mother's Day, remember what we always say, after all...
Every day is Mother's Day.
Yes. On the political scene, the state's 2nd District GOP convention ignored the pleas of Governor Levander. You remember Governor Levander asked, please do not endorse a presidential candidate. He asked them to stick with the straw votes. Well, the 2nd District convention endorsed Richard Nixon by a count of 5-1 over Governor Rockefeller, who is Mr. Levander's favorite. The 8th District meeting at Grand Rapids did stick to the straw vote, favoring Nixon 2-1 over Rocky. In Hibbing, the 8th District DFL convention endorsed Hubert Humphrey by a count of 100-28, while Mr. Humphrey was visiting his 86-year-old mom in a Huron, South Dakota rest home. Robert Kennedy was in Huron today. Do you suppose they met? He came out with a major economic statement calling for major tax reforms and big spending cuts in the space, public works, and highway fields. And Senator McCarthy, preparing for the Nebraska primary on Tuesday, said there is no collaboration between himself and Mr. Humphrey. Quote Ronald Reagan, we should use whatever power and technology we have at our command to end the Vietnam War should negotiations fail.
Time now for the Bedtime News Quote of the Week.
Yes, each week Bedtime News calls the newspapers, the radio, and the TV broadcast in search of the most profound quote of the week. Tonight's profound quote features the words and wisdoms of
Senator Robert Kennedy.
Now, this is the precise quote after his victory in the Indiana primary last Tuesday. Senator Kennedy, when asked by CBS's Roger Mudd if he feels his victory made him a stronger candidate, replied,
well, it seems to me that it's apparent that it's better to win than come in second or third.
It certainly wasn't the best day in the world for golf today, but some of our Television 4 technicians did manage to find a bit of sunshine early this morning at Hiawatha Golf Course in Minneapolis. These men put in long days and nights, and it's rare when they can find some time to relax. But guys like Mallory Pickens here are generally easygoing fellows, and they don't lose their cool by a botched chip or a lousy putt. Whoops, what happened here? Well, I'll tell you what happened here. This was the putt that our beloved Mallory Pickens, this is the club that our beloved Mallory Pickens used, and this is the way it looked after he missed that 1.5-foot putt. Now, what we're going to do is, unbeknownst to Mel, we're just full of surprises, we're going to go over and give Mel the shaft tonight. You didn't know, this is a big surprise to you, isn't it?
Yes, it's a big
well,
surprise.
Well, first let me, where are we? I can't see a monitor. Bill? First, let me say, it says Como Park, it was Como Park, 8th hole, 1968, which way? Como Park, 8th hole, 1968, Mallory, geez, you guys can't even get your shots. Mallory Adrian Pickens, and on the back, it says, as a token, presented by Ronald Hines, William Baird, and Vern Pearson. You remember you were out golfing, come here a minute, you were out golfing yesterday and Vern Pearson had a camera and he said, listen, just do a little putting and pretend like you're breaking the club or something like that so we can get some film. That's what that was.
Well, actually, that club was the head of this one in a 3/4-inch steel pipe.
The club that you used on the film? Good luck. And Mal, on behalf of all the boys and the management of Television 4, they've asked, hereafter, would you please clean up your language? Let's see. In 8 innings, the Angels, you know, I took my life in my hands. He's on camera, too, and there's no telling what I'll look like on the rest of the show hereafter, upside down and sideways. Okay, cut it out. Knock it off. Cool it, Mel. Angels lead the Twins 5-1 in 8 innings. Harmon hit his 8th home run, a prodigious blow in the 5th inning, but the Angels routed Jim Perry with 3 in the 5th, 2 more in the 6th. They lead the Twins 5-1 in the 8th inning. Detroit continues on a hitting tear. Again tonight, the Tigers scored 12 runs against Washington. Joe Sparma coasting along behind home runs from Wirt, Freehan, and Willie Horton. Cleveland 4-3 over Baltimore. Sam McDowell's 10 strikeouts ran his 3-game streak to 40. Tommy Harper's homer won it. Mel Stottlemyre pitched shutout ball. Roy White homered to give the Yanks a 1-0 win over Boston. Same score. Come on, Mel. Same score, Chicago over Oakland. Horland, Wood, and Locker combining on a 3-hitter. In the National League, Henry Aaron's 2 home runs, good for 4 runs, brought Atlanta a 5-4 decision over the Dodgers. Now he's got me all shook up. Same score, the Giants over Cincinnati. Juan Marichal winning his 5th. The Reds lose their 5th straight. The Chicago Cubs defeated the Mets 3-1 in a battle of kid pitchers, Bill Hands defeating Tommy Seaver. Just 5 minutes ago, the Cardinals scored in the 13th inning to defeat Houston 4-3 on a wild throw by Houston pitcher Mike Cuellar. The University baseball team took 2 from Illinois, 1-0, 6-2 to move into first place in the Big Ten. Veteran sideline observers who have been watching Gophers spring football practices for years say they've never seen such hard hitting as they saw on Northrop Field today.